I have created the greatest player of all time, but there's one problem. He plays for the Arizona Coyotes, and we all know that Arizona is a poverty franchise, but in order for him to get out of Arizona, he's going to have to make the playoffs and win at least one major individual award in the same season, which honestly might be harder than we all think. Once we have done that, then we can spin the wheel to see which team he will be joining next, and we are going to do so every single season until he wins a Stanley Cup in NHL 24. That is right, boys. Bendover is back and better than ever here in NHL 24. He doesn't even fit into the screen here. That is how huge he is. He has big feet, and you know what they say about big feet. And there he is in an Arizona Coyotes uniform. He's going to have to make the playoffs and at least win one major individual award to leave. Until then, we are absolutely stuck here suffering in Arizona. I mean, the weather is nice, but the hockey team is not. Who knows? Maybe this season they'll actually be half decent, but I doubt it. Now, of course, Bendover is a 99 overall. 99s across the board here in every single category. He's also going to be a sniper, 6'9", 250, only 19 years old. He's got some room to grow here. But I mean, if we take a look at Arizona here, they have some decent players with Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, an 89 and 86 respectively. Barrett Hayton can definitely grow into a good player. Dylan Gunther is going to be good as well. They got Alex Kerfoot, Lawson Krause. Not much else, to be honest. Defensively, who do they have here? I mean, they did pick up Matt Dumba and Sean Dursey. I mean, their decor is not terrible, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's not one of the best, obviously, but it's very serviceable. And for goalie, who is their starting goalie? It's going to be Veg Melka at an 84 overall. All right, so now that we know the roster and the objective of this video, let's go ahead and win Bendover a Stanley Cup in NHL 24. So the Arizona Coyotes are actually going to finish with a great regular season record, going 53, 27, and 2, finishing first in the Central, above the greatest team of all time in Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, St. Louis. It doesn't matter, baby. The Arizona Coyotes are him. Why am I embarrassing myself like that? That doesn't even make sense, Pasta. What are you talking about? We are also going to end up finishing second overall in the entire NHL behind the New York Islanders, going 52, 23, and 7. So we did have more wins than them, but they had 3 more points than us. Those 7 overtime losses really carry this poverty franchise. Come on now. New York plays absolutely boring hockey. Who would like to watch that? Trap this, trap that, ruin Matt Barzal's career. Now let's check out the bottom of the standings here. Who do we have? The Philadelphia Flyers are going to finish dead last, followed by the Red Wings, San Jose, Nashville. Where the hell is Chicago? Chicago, oh my god. Chicago made top 21? Now, as we take a look at Bendover, he's going to absolutely dominate, as he should, finishing with 103 goals, 54 assists for 157 points in only 82 games. Clayton Keller had a big year too, 95 points, only 19 goals, but the assists were up there. Nick Schmaltz also had 94, 23 goals. Lawson Krause, 58. Dylan Gunther, 54. Our starting goalie went 48, 20, and 2. 2 shutouts, a 903 save percentage, and a 3 goals against average. Not the greatest stats. Now, for the entire NHL, Bendover obviously is going to lead in goals with 103 and points with 157, followed by Jack Hughes' 103. Nathan McKinnon had 98. Johnny Hockey, 98. Ovi had 97. Carlson, 96. McDavid was up there with 95. Timo Meier, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz. So I did put scoring on high, but I lowered the shot frequency in simulations to medium. They have it set on high already, but I wanted to see if it did anything different here, and the results are kind of glaring here, as nobody really cracked 100 points besides Jack Hughes with 103. Now for goals, obviously Bendover is going to lead for goals, but other than that, Ovi came in second place with 56, followed by Kuch's 47, McKinnon 47, Patrick Laine was up there, Matthews, McDavid, Timo Meier, Trevor Zegras had a big season, 41 goals and 83 points. Now this is what our year 1 playoff matchups look like. We have the St. Louis Blues in round number 1. Now it doesn't really matter if we win a series this season, because we are going to be able to spin the wheel for next year, because we did make the playoffs and Bendover did win the Maurice Richard. So let's just go ahead and simulate to see if we can actually win a Stanley Cup with Arizona. Maybe we can, who knows, but let's find out. So unfortunately, we are going to lose in the very first round in 6 games to the St. Louis Blues, and the Winnipeg Jets are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup in year number 1, beating the Senators in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. I did not see that coming. I mean, let's be real, Winnipeg or Ottawa are not making the Stanley Cup finals this season. If we take a look at the playoff stats, Bendover is going to dominate. 4 goals, 8 points in only 6 games. Honestly, he could have been a little better. He was a -4, 15 penalty minutes. For the entire playoffs, Mark Scheifele is going to tie for goals with 12 and lead in points with 29, followed by Kyle Connors, 26. Bo Horvat had 24. Matthew Barzal, 23. And Nino Niederreiter, 23. Are you kidding me? An 84 overall is going to go off in the playoffs. Now, Bendover is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, which means we can get out of Arizona. It only took us 1 season to do so. Erik Karlsson is going to go back-to-back, winning the Norris. Yet again, the Lady Byng also to Karlsson, and the Conn Smythe is going to go to Mark Scheifele. The Calder would to also go to bend over, not Connor Bedard. The Vezina is going to go to Georgiev, and the Selke will go to Ryan O'Reilly. Yet again in year number 1, he's going to take it. All right, so here we are at the wheel. We are going to spin it. We have every single NHL team on the wheel here, so whatever team we land on, that is the team that Bend Over will be joining next. So let's go ahead and find that out right now. We were so close to getting the defending champs in the Winnipeg Jets, but instead we got Washington. So we're going to have a duo of Alex Ovechkin and Bend Over on the same exact team. And there he is, boys, the newest member of the Washington Capitals, Bend Over, number 69. Don't you worry, we're also going to put the captaincy on him. I'm sorry, Ovechkin, but you are old, slow, and washed at this point. Ben is the real leader of this team, and he's going to show it out on the ice. And there he is on the first line of the Washington Capitals, boys, alongside Alex Ovechkin, who's a 91, and Evgeny Kuznetsov, who's an 86. That's a pretty lethal first line. Not to mention, we still have Tom Wilson, Nick Backstrom, and Max Pacioretty on the second line. Pacioretty is an 85 overall in this game. I mean, for a guy who's barely played the last 2 seasons, that's kind of high. Overall, this roster is not really that bad. In real life, they had a lot of injuries last season. That's why they missed the playoffs. Now, I don't think they're a playoff lock by any means, but they'll definitely compete for one this year. Defensively, we do have Rasmus Sandin and John Carlson, who's a 90 overall defenseman. He's 33 years old, doesn't have much time left, but for the time being, he's still an elite defender. And our starting goalie is going to be Darcy Kemper at an 86 overall, which is very decent. Now, the Washington Capitals are going to finish with a great regular season, just like Arizona did last season, as we go 52, 26, and 4. Carolina was the only team better in our division, going 53, 24, and 5. Now, for the entire NHL, it's going to slot just like it did in the Metro, going Carolina and then Washington. Colorado was also up there, the Rangers, the Bruins, Tampa Bay, and Edmonton. Let's check out the bottom of the standings here. We got the Montreal Canadiens, the Anaheim Ducks, Vancouver, and Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs are going to finish 4th last in the entire NHL. Now, Bend Over is going to finish the year with 82 goals and 159 points. Not as much of a goal scorer as last season. He finished with over 100, but I guess Ovi is going to take some of that shine away, scoring 55 and 104 points. Kuznetsov was up there with 98, John Carlson at 75, Pacioretty 66, Backstrom 59. Our starting goalie and Darcy Kemper is going to go 39, 19, and 3, 4 shutouts, decent stats overall. A 913 save percentage is not bad. Now, Bend Over is still going to lead the entire NHL in goals with 82 and points with 159, followed by Nathan McKinnon's 119. Zabinajad had 108, Forsberg 107, Kaprizov was up there with 105, Ovi 104, Mikko Rantanen 103, Breadman 102, Patrick Kane 99. Actually had 100. Why did I say 99? Jack Eichel was up there, Malkin, Kuznetsov had a big year. Kucherov was actually pretty down there, only with 97 points. He did score 52 goals though. And speaking of goals, besides Bend Over, Ovi's going to lead the way with 55, then Kuch is 52. Kaprizov had a big season with 51. Nathan McKinnon was up there, Forsberg, Eichel, Laine, Nazem Kadri had 45 goals, which he has literally never done in his entire career. I believe his career high is 32 on Toronto. I mean, he exploded 2 years ago with 87 points, but he only had 28 goals. Now, penalty minutes, Bend Over is actually not going to lead, as Jacob Middleton is going to lead the NHL at 169.
Get it? 69? Is that funny? Does anybody think that's funny?
Bend Over would have 156. Foligno had 131. Corey Perry was up there at 127. All right, now let's take a look at the playoff matchups. We are going to have to play the New York Rangers in round number 1. Now, we all know they choke in round 1 just like they did last season, so if we can get by Igor Shesterkin, which is a tall task, we can probably beat them. And unfortunately, we are actually going to get swept by the eventual champion New York Rangers as they go on to defeat. Actually, they're going to sweep Colorado in the Stanley Cup final. Oh my God, they lost one game the entire playoff run, and that was to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Other than that, they dominated the playoffs. Well, New York, I am going to formally apologize for disrespecting you. I did not know you had that dog in you like that. Now, in 4 games in the first round, Alex Ovechkin is going to go absolutely off. 6 goals and 7 points. Bend Over actually didn't have that great of a playoff run. Only 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points in 4 games. He was point per game, but also a -4. For the entire playoffs, Mika Zibanejad is going to lead in points with 27, followed by Breadman's 26, Makar had 25, Patrick Kane 23, Joe Pavelski was up there, Landeskog, Robertson, McKinnon, and Jonathan Marchessault. Yet again, Ben is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. The Norris is going to go yet again to Erik Karlsson, the Lady Bing to Kaprizov, and the Conn Smythe to Mika Zibanejad. Freddie Anderson is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is also going to go to Bend Over. Mr. Ben. All right, we are now back on the wheel, spinning it yet again to see which team Bend Over will be joining next year, and it's going to be the Minnesota Minnesota Wild. Okay, we are going to team up with Kirill Kaprizov and try to capture Minnesota a Stanley Cup. Do they have a Stanley Cup in real life? I don't even know if Minnesota has ever won a Stanley Cup. I'm going to lean no, but I'm not exactly sure on that. And there is Ben on the first line of the Minnesota Wild, playing alongside Kirill Kaprizov, who's a 92, and Matt Zuccarello, who's an 86. So we do have some line mates here in Minnesota. Other than that, though, Eriksson Ek's an 85, Boldy's an 86, Hartman's an 83. They don't really have the greatest team around them. And for defense, who do we have here? Burrow, Dean, and Spurgeon are 87 apiece. So our defense is actually going to be pretty good. And in goal, do we still have the Flower? We have Gustafsson at an 86 and Flower at an 85. So let's see if Bendover can go on and carry the Minnesota Wild to their very first Stanley Cup in franchise history. At the end of the season, Minnesota is going to finish first in the Central as they go 49, 29, and 4. The Edmonton Oilers are actually going to be the best team in the NHL, going 54, 21, and 7, followed by the Rangers, the Vegas Golden Knights, Pittsburgh was up there, the Devils, and of course the Minnesota Wild, as we do finish top 6 in the NHL. At the bottom, let's look here. We have San Jose, the Islanders, who are actually down there. That's kind of surprising. 30 wins. Anaheim, Philly, and Winnipeg. Ben is actually going to have his worst season so far in the video, only scoring 57 goals and 108 points. Kaprizov had 88 and 36 goals. Zuccarello 85, Boldy 63, and Eriksson Ek 58. Damn, Ben, you had one hell of a shitty season. Only 57 goals in your rookie season with Arizona. You scored over 100. Our starting goalie went 35, 18, and 2, 6 shutouts. Decent stats overall for the Flower. Man, Marc-Andre Fleury, you are washed, sir. These stats are rough. I'm not even gonna lie. The playoff stats too were really bad. A 5 goals against average last year in the playoffs in the 2 games that he actually played. Connor McDavid is gonna absolutely dominate as he finishes with 65 goals, leading all players in points as well with 125. Jason Robertson had 112, Ovechkin 108, Bendover 108, Marchand was up there, Nathan McKinnon, Draisaitl 106, Matthews had a bounce back season, Mikko Rantanen was up there, Zibanejad, Barkov had 102, his best season so far in his NHL career. Now for goals, other than McDavid, Ovi's going to come in second place with 60, followed by Robertson's 59, Matthews had 58, Bendover 57, Kucherov was up there, Pacioretty had 50 goals and 90 points at age 35. What is Max Pacioretty's career high? Is it like 32 goals? I believe he was a consistent 30 goal scorer, 37 goals back in 15, 39 goals the year before, so he was a decent scorer in his prime, but he's well past his prime now. Now in the playoffs, the Minnesota Wild are going to play the St. Louis Blues in round number 1. We have Bedsy versus McDavid in the first round too. That's going to be an exciting matchup. On the east side, do we have any cool matchups? The Rangers and Capitals are kind of cool, I guess. And yet again, we are going to end up losing to the eventual Stanley Cup winners as the Colorado Avalanche go on and sweep Carolina in the Stanley Cup final to capture that Lord Stanley. Now in 12 games, Ben is going to have 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. Kaprizov had 13, Zuccarello 12, and Hartman 10. I mean, decent stats. I kind of hold Ben to a higher standard. 14 points in 12 games is not going to cut it. For the entire playoff run, Leon Draisaitl is going to lead in goals with 13 and points with 29, or actually 28, my bad. Followed by your mom's Aho, Sebastian Aho with 28. Teuvo Teravainen had 28. McDavid 27. Svechnikov 25. Connor McDavid is going to sweep the individual awards, taking home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. The Norris is going to go to Adam Fox. The Lady Byng also McDavid, and the Conn Smythe is going to go to Landy. The Vezina is going to go to Igor Shesterkin, and the Selke is going to go to Bendover, baby.
Bend over, Red Rover, and let me take over.
All right, here we are back on the wheel. Let's see which team we are going to join next here in NHL 24. What is it going to be? The Buffalo Sabres, Tage Thompson and Bendover on the same exact team. Now, this is actually very exciting because Buffalo has some absolute studs on their team like Tage Thompson. Dylan Cousins is going to be very good. Alex Tuch is an 87. Jeff Skinner somehow is an 87. Of course, on defense, we have Rasmus Dahlin at a 91. Bendover needs no introduction as he is a 99 overall. 99s across the board, of course. Nothing has changed, and nothing will change with Bendover because he is the greatest player of all time. He's going to be on that first line with Tage Thompson at a 91 and Jeff Skinner, who's an 87. Actually, Jeff Skinner, I'm going to move you down to the second line. Instead, we're going to have Alex Tuch at an 87 up there. I mean, in real life, Thompson and Tuch have great chemistry, so that'll work well with Ben. Ben's actually going to play the middle. Thompson, you're going to go on the wing. And there you have it. You have an absolute lethal first line on the Buffalo Sabres. Who's our starting goalie? Luukkonen at an 82. That kind of hurts us a little bit. And there he is, that absolute bum. That is John Jason Pereira. He's bad for the media. He's bad for his team. This dude has has terrorized me in Be It Pro as Pekka Past. I swear to God, all jokes aside, he's a pretty decent player in real life. And you already know that the Buffalo Sabres have very clean jerseys, and Bend Over, of course, is going to have the ladies dropping their pants to come get at him. I mean, who wouldn't? Look at the guy. That mustache is beautiful.
You can just imagine how smooth it feels on my skin. Hey, yo.
The Buffalo Sabres are going to finish the regular season going 48, 24, and 10 at the top of the Atlantic with 106 points. Above the Boston Bruins, Toronto, Ottawa, Florida, Tampa, you name it, we're above them all. And for the entire NHL, we are also going to finish as the best team above New York, Boston, Toronto, Colorado, Vegas. Nobody was better than the Buffalo Sabres this season, boys. At the bottom of the standings, who do we have here? We have the Islanders, San Jose, Edmonton yet again. Now, Mr. Ben is going to light the NHL on fire. 97 goals, 221 points. Jeff Skinner came in second on the Buffalo Sabres with 81. Rasmus Dahlin, 76. Tage Thompson, 71. Dylan Cousins, 59 and 20 goals. Tage Thompson, man, only 27 goals and 71 points. Our goalie went 34, 20, and 8. 3 shutouts, a 904 save percentage, and a 289 goals against average. Now, obviously, Ben is going to lead the NHL in goals with 97 and points with 221. It was not even close for points. Followed by Brad Marchand's 108, Adam Fox at 106, McKinnon 105, Jack Hughes 103, Zibanejad 102, Marner 102. And for goals, other than Ben, Ovi's going to have the most yet again, this time with 51. He's 38 years old. How does he keep getting away with this? Marchand had 46, Matthews 46, Zibanejad was up there, Rantanen, Kyle Connor, David Pasternak 43. And in the playoffs, the Buffalo Sabres have the Ottawa Senators in round number 1. Both of these teams are trying to make the playoffs this year after missing the last 4 or 5 seasons. Well, Buffalo, they haven't made it in 15 years, I think. We have a series between the Rangers and the Penguins. That is going to be good. Boston and Toronto, also good. New Jersey, Carolina. All right, let's see if Ben can carry the Buffalo Sabres all the way and finally capture a Stanley Cup in year number 4. So far, so good, boys, as we have dominated our way through the playoffs so far, only losing 1 game in the very first round. We swept Toronto in the second round. That is crazy. But we still have to get by the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals. My arch rivals. God damn, this is going to be tough. And finally, we have made the Stanley Cup Final for the very first time in the video. We are up against the Winnipeg Jets. Can Bend Over finally go on and win his very first Stanley Cup in his NHL career? And finally, after 4 years of hopping around the league like Kevin Durant does in the NBA, Bend Over has finally captured that Stanley Cup that he's been waiting for. It has taken us 4 years as we join Arizona, Washington, Minnesota, and now we finally get it done with the Buffalo Sabres. Bend Over's very first Stanley Cup in NHL 24. And of course, Ben is going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Buffalo Sabres. It said he has 40 goals, 40 assists for 82 points. What the hell? There is no way he actually put that up. I believe they actually updated that because last season it was wrong all the time with how many points and assists players had when they won the Conn Smythe. And there it is, the Stanley Cup being raised in Buffalo for, I believe, the very first time in franchise history. They might have one, but I don't think so. Here is Ben coming to collect it for the very first time in his NHL career. There's not much else to say, boys. Bend Over now is a Stanley Cup champion and one of, if not the greatest NHL players of all time. And Ben is forever going to go down as a Stanley Cup champion and an absolute legend of the Buffalo Sabres as he's captured that Stanley Cup. And the cutscene was right, as Ben is going to absolutely dominate the playoffs. 40 goals, 42 assists for 82 points in only 21 games. That is by far the greatest playoff run of all time. No questions about it. Jeff Skinner came in second place with 28 points. Jack Eichel had 26. Kyle Connor, 26. Mark Stone, 24. Your mom's a hoe, 23. And Over is going to take home the Selke, the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. The Norris is going to go to Adam Fox, the Lady Bing to Mitch Marner, and of course the Conn Smythe also to Ben. And Alexander Georgiev is going to take home that Vezina. Now, I know that I said I would end the video as soon as we won the Stanley Cup, but instead, boys, that first season went way too goddamn well. We are going to simulate. We are going to continue to simulate until we do not win the Stanley Cup. So I'm going to see if we can go back to back or maybe even three-peat. So let's keep simulating and see if we can go on and go go back-to-back as Stanley Cup champions with Mr. Ben. So as we head into year number 2 with the Buffalo Sabres, on the first line, we still have Ben Dover, Tage Thompson, and now Dylan Cousins, who's all the way up at an 88 overall. Defensively, Rasmus Dahlin is up to a 93 overall, and Owen Powers an 88. Okay. And for goalies, our starting goalie still is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen at an 82 overall. Devin Levi is there, but he's only an 81. Also, boys, I completely forgot to give Ben any X factors throughout this entire video, so he's gone the entire way with 0 X factors. So we're gonna go ahead and add that to his character right now. He's signed for 4 years at below average. Oh my god, he's not even making $1 million. All right, so I've gone ahead and given Ben gold truculence. He also has back at ya, elite edges, heat seeker, unstoppable force, and wheels. So he's gonna be an absolute demigod out on the ice, which is honestly pretty realistic to what he actually is in real life. He is the literal definition of a demigod. And there you have it, boys. The Buffalo Sabres and Ben Dover's run has come to an end, as they are gonna miss the playoffs in their second season together. Now, despite missing the playoffs, Ben is gonna dominate with 116 goals and 234 points. Alex Tuch had 90 and 30 goals. Jeff Skinner had 40 goals and 83 points. Rasmus Dahlin 80. Tage Thompson, oh my god, he is simulating absolutely horribly. 26 goals and only 66 points. Now, obviously, Ben's gonna lead the NHL in goals at 116 and points with 234, followed by Brad Marchand's 120. McDavid had 116. Kaprizov 109. Matthews 108. William Nylander had 39 goals and 101 points. Speaking of goals, other than Ben, Matthews is going to have the most at 55, followed by Draisaitl's 53. Kaprizov had 51. Ovechkin had 51. Pasta was up there. Cooch, McKinnon, Kyle Connor. And sadly, we did not even make the playoffs. I know, it's pretty embarrassing after we did win the Stanley Cup last season. Maybe it was all luck. Maybe we were not the team that we thought we were, but regardless, we're going to go on and simulate this to see who does go on to win the Stanley Cup. And it is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs as they sweep the Colorado Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final. That is something you will literally only see in a video game. Not only Toronto winning the Stanley Cup, but sweeping Colorado. And that is going to do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We have brought Ben Dover back for NHL 24, his very first video for 24 as well, and it's gone pretty well. I mean, we won a Stanley Cup with Buffalo, did choke in the final season. Yes, that was embarrassing, but we hopped around the league like Kevin Durant does in the NBA, and we finally made it here with the Buffalo Sabres. Ben put up a lot of points as well, so a very successful video in my opinion. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.